It's
And it was pitch black, all the lights were done off and all like
I rang the phone to fire brigade and it had less than 10 minutes to come out. But there's no way of getting rid of the smoke. We had to let the smoke go through the flat, out to the window.
This is a fire door, and there is meant to be a gap here, but the gap is about 4 times wider than it should be. And if on the night of the fire, now the fire took place on a Saturday night at around 11 o'clock, smoke actually got through this gap, came all the way through here. I mean, as you can see, there's 4 apartments here. At that hour of a Saturday night. Lethal.
Given the fact that people had to actually walk through the fire in order to get out of the building, that in itself indicated to us that there was a problem in this building. And as a result, we engaged a consultant, a fire consultant, to have a look at the building from our point of view.
His report listed several major defects. Many of the owners were astounded, but there was worse to come.
We brought the report outlining the fire issues to Ballymun Regeneration Limited. A number of weeks later, the owners of the 52 apartments were served a fire safety notice by Dublin City Council.
Fire safety notices are a big weapon in the arsenal of fire authorities, but they're rarely used in Dublin. The City Council's public records show that up to last month, just 1 was issued this year. Last year, the council issued 38. 24 of those were on Shangan, the same as for the whole of Dublin in the previous year.
They got it wrong. We're just the investor. We're just the innocent party here. Dublin City Council own the land. They commissioned this building in its entirety, and now they're serving us, the innocent party, with a fire notice to refrain from using this building because, in their opinion, it is deemed a potentially dangerous building.
Shangan Hall was designed by Anthony Reddy and Associates. Reddy, last year's president of the Royal Institute of Irish Architects, told Primetime he wasn't personally involved in the design. His firm referred us to the builders Bennett Construction. Their fire consultant was John McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy also referred us to his clients Bennett's. Bennett's made no comment to Primetime. Meanwhile, Dublin City Council denies it took a fire to spur it into action. When were the issues raised by your own staff in Ballymun?
They were raised in the beginning of April, and the inspection...
After the fire?
Yes. But,
so it took
but
a
after
fire?
The fire. But after the fire anyway, the fire prevention people would look at any issue that might arise out of fire.
But it did indeed take a fire then. It took a fire.
A minor fire. I mean, it was a fairly minor issue,
Well, a minor fire that revealed a lot about the failure of the system.
Well, it's not the failure of the system. It's issues that relate to a particular building. And bearing in mind that the competent technical advisor is responsible for that in the first instance.
Property investor Anne-Marie Matthews believes that fire problems are widespread in the industry and buyers can't rely on the enforcement regime.
It can't just be one building. It has to be rife, I'm sure. So I would advise any investor going forward from here to beware.
Not just investors. Back around the corner, the civic buildings, home to the council, a public health clinic, and offices of the HSE. Hundreds either use this building or work in it every day.
What I saw was a general level of inadequate and improper installation throughout the whole complex.
Inside the building, the gap between these fire doors is too wide. If there's a fire like in Shangan Hall, these doors won't stop smoke and flames.
I didn't come across any fire-resisting door set or fire-resisting door set assembly that was properly installed.
In the basement, escape only if you have a swipe card. And gaps and holes around pipes in the ceiling. Fire could travel through.
Pipes and cables entering from the basement into the main part of the building had no seal, fire-resisting seal, or the fire-resisting seal that was installed was inadequate.
At emergency exits, on what should be sterile escape routes, dumped boxes, refuse and storage. and one main emergency exit that leads to nowhere safe. This red fence, and outside a further fence, would block you.
I don't see any reason why our fire safety notice shouldn't be served on the Civic Offices complex itself. Although it's funny, an enforcement authority serving a notice on itself, and it just doesn't happen.
How many inspections were carried out on the civic buildings as a whole since that fire in Shangan Hall?
You mean the civic buildings in Ballymun? I'm not aware of any,
There have been none carried out.
as far as I know. Yeah.
Since our query, council fire officers have inspected the civic building and they've declared it fully compliant. The council also says Shangan Hall is now fully compliant. But the apartment owners we spoke to say they've been kept in the dark, and for them, the future is uncertain.
It's very possible in the near future that we're going to have to decant the whole building, and that means put everybody out on the street, which is a serious task, because we're still going to be paying banks, back mortgages. We're going to have difficulties with insuring the building. I mean, it's an absolute disaster.
It leaves us in a very difficult legal position here in relation to our investment and in relation to how safe this building actually is.
The face of Irish housing has changed. 1/3 of our housing stock has been built in the past 10 years. And in Dublin, most new housing units are now apartments. Modern homes where you can still find serious fire risks. A typical development, Slade Castle Woods, urban living on the edge of Saggart Village. A 2-bed duplex, yours for under €300,000. First-time buyer Marie-Christine Walsh bought here last year, but she had an edge on other buyers. Her father, the fire expert.
We came up and had a look at the show house, and we just fell in love with it the minute we came in. Everything looked fabulous.
Marie-Christine had all the certificates she could have wanted, but she was to discover that paper is not enough.
The certificates that we got included the fire safety certificates, the architect's opinion on compliance, which kind of included a number of other certificates like the commencement notices, the planning application, approval forms. We got the home bond certificates as well. Quite nice.
But then her father had a look. He believed the fire doors were an issue.
So now, small and
The telltale signs, keyholes in internal doors. No fire seal behind the hinges and door fittings.
There was absolutely nothing in the way of a fire seal or a smoke seal on the heads of all of the door sets throughout the apartment, all of the door sets. We complained, and the response has been this, that they took away the smoke seals and they just installed fire seals, but now we're along both long sides and also now along the top.
While the fire seal remains, the smoke seal was removed. Smoke could travel into the only escape route. Clearly not best practice. Marie-Christine was finding that appearances can be deceiving.
We're in the attic space and we're right beside the party wall, the wall which separates this apartment from next door. And if I want to, I can put my whole fist through from one property to another. When I complained, the response of the builders was to stuff mineral wool between the truss and the party wall. Whereas the real issue is this enormous gap between the top of the party wall and the underside of the roof covering.
Developers Gary Aaron Homes nominated a fire consultant to talk to us. He inspected a different apartment